I'm the under the gun straddle, so this hand is played as 5, 10, 20.
All right, so 5, 10, 20. You're the straddle. Okay.
Yeah, so local pro, very good player, opens under the gun +2 to 75. Under the gun +3 flat calls.
By the way, this is Big Daddy
And
Chaz, right? Who opens to 75.
Yeah, this is
I mean,
Big Daddy Chaz.
everyone's gonna be able to see
Opens
it on the
75.
stream, right?
Yeah, nope.
Yeah. So
Exactly.
so Big Daddy Chaz opens to
It folds around
75, and then somebody calls in between, or
Yeah,
what?
it folds around under the gun +3, so next to act flats.
Okay, so MP1 calls.
And it folds around to us in the big blind with king deuce of hearts.
And you call.
And we complete.
Yeah, so 75, 150, 160, you know, you're getting about 3-1 suited king. I would complete here. I would complete here as well. I just sometimes will giggle that sometimes people won't play hands. I'm not saying to play king deuce suited in position for a flat, but they won't think about sometimes calling in position with speculative hands, but they'll complete from out of position because, you know, they're getting a price. But okay, so you make this call. So the pot's like what, 240, something like that?
Yeah, 240s. That's right. I have 250.
By the way, what time did you say this was at the live stream? So I'm going to put it in the notes.
127? 127 in the stream.
127 in the live stream. So people can actually go back and watch this hand from Saturday night. Okay, so 240. All right, let's go to the flop.
Okay, so flop is 6 of diamonds, 3 of hearts, 2 of spades.
So you flop bottom pair, right?
Yeah, bottom pair, backdoor flush draw.
Okay.
So I check, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Chaz bets 150. Next to act folds. And I think we just have a pure call here, so I call.
Yeah, it's tough to fold now that your head's up. You do have a pair. You've got a backdoor heart draw. Kind of a large sort of, you know, 2/3 bet, but I think you can't fold the 5-out draw. I mean, as I say, sometimes not. I mean, I'm not going to fold over pairs here either, but as I've talked about before, sometimes 5-out draws are even better than like a pocket pair. Like king deuce of hearts has more outs than pocket eights if you're behind here, right? So you make the call. So now the pot is what, 590?
I have 550. So 150, 300, 300 goes in on the flop, and 250 pre-flop.
Got it. All right, cool. All right.
Okay, so turn is the 8 of hearts. So we pick up our backdoor.
All right, so the turn is the 8 of hearts. Okay, so it's king of diamonds, 3 of hearts, deuce of spades. Turn's the 8 of hearts, okay?
Oh, actually, sorry, I have this down wrong in my notes. It's the 9 of hearts. I don't think it matters too much, but
9 of hearts. Okay. Yeah, I don't think that matters. No, I mean it matters in the sense that it doesn't bring in actually no, an 8 wouldn't have brought in a straight either, so it probably doesn't matter at all.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I check. Chaz bets 325, so about 60%. And I think I just have, again, easy decision to just call here.
375? Is that right?
325.
325. So he bets 325 and a 550. The issue here is that because there are no straights out there, if you were to raise here with king deuce of hearts as a semi bluff, you are just basically repping like sets or some sort. I guess you could have like 9-6 here, right? For 2 pair. So, you know, you could make a case for check raising as a semi bluff if you have some stack depth here. And I'm not expecting folds really from overpairs. It would have to be check raise and then a blast at the end, and probably like betting, you know, one-liners, 4, 5, 7, 8, I think are all a little bit scary for overpairs. On the flip side, looking at this, I don't know if Chaz is really like has many bluffs here. I would be very, very surprised here if Chaz doesn't have something here when he fires turn here on this 9, although it is, you know, sort of disconnected high card. Like if he had ace queen or something like that. Now, obviously, you could have nut backdoor hearts. Could he have like a hand like ace 4 suited or ace 5 suited? It's possible too. But of course, you're ahead of those hands as well. So it's a little bit interesting. I think I would tend to lean towards a call as well. It's also interesting that you have a kicker here where like if a king comes in, you can play it as a check call where he might value bet effectively because he's good enough to do that, or choose it to bluff. So you've got sort of that protection too with the kicker, as opposed to like if you had like, 8 deuce of hearts. Do you see the difference there between like 8 deuce of hearts and like king deuce of hearts?
Well, yeah, I mean, well, King Deuce of Hearts has obviously more equity if he has, I don't know, a hand like, yeah, I'm not sure actually if I really see the difference.
Well, the difference
Eight Deuce of
the difference
Hearts,
is that if a king were to come, and it's subtle, right? If a king were to come, he might have run into a king and bet it, or he will use it as a bluff if you play the river as a check call. Do you see what I'm saying?
oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, if any high overcard comes, then that's good for his range, right? He has Ace King, he has King Queen, he has all those hands.
Well,
So
but then again, is he barreling those cards though on the turn? I mean, again, like I said, the 9 is a disconnected card, so you can be a little bit overly aggressive because it's not the 9 isn't really bringing in anything. You might have a lot of like 5 6 3 4 things like that where you're just not going to necessarily continue. So I have the pot as 1200 now, right?
yep, that's what I have too.
Okay.
So let's head to the river.
Yeah.
So the river is the King of Clubs. So we make
Oh.
top and bottom.
So you do get the king. Okay. So for me here, I would absolutely play this as a check because I think that Chaz here, and again, he is not in the small stakes exploit. He's not a player that falls into this where, he's going to be checking back hands that he shouldn't check back. But a lot of small stakes players here will check back queens, check back jacks, which is just absurd. They also won't bluff enough here on this run out. This is a perfect card for you to check because Chaz is good enough to actually value bet a pair, say between like a 9 and kings, because it's really irrelevant, right? Like unless you had like a hand like king 4 suited or something like that, the king is irrelevant. If I had 10s, jacks, queens here, I would be value betting here too. Now I might not take a large sizing. And then of course, if I was running a bluff, like if I had ace 5 of hearts or ace 4 of hearts or whatever, right? Am I going to bluff the river? Of course. So you get the best of both worlds here against a good player where he's going to effectively continue to value bet his own hand. He might have run into a king, which he'll value bet, and he'll use this card as a bluff.
Yeah, I mean, exactly like you said. This is a card he can represent if he was barreling with like Jack, Queen of Hearts or something, say. Then he's going to rep this king. So to me, it seems like a pretty clear check. So then he bets out for 850. So just around 2/3.
So
And we have more or less a decision as to whether to call or check raise. And if to check raise, what sizing? We have 3,000 back.
you have 3,000 back because you had put in 325 on the turn, 150 on the flop, and just sort of 75, right? Basically pre-flop,
Yeah.
right? So he bets 850, which is 2/3. I would almost always check raise here. I'm not going to check raise huge, but I think you make it like 2,000. Make it like 2,000. Give him a price where he's sort of scratching his head and wondering, oh, did this guy like just slow play like 4-5? By the way, he can't even raise back with like a set here because you have all 4-5 that you might play this way, right? Like if he has a set of 9s or a set of 6s, is he going to raise back over the top of a check raise? Like you're never going to get raised back here if you're ever concerned about, obviously like somehow getting blown off your equity or going off to showdown. But I think that this is too good. You've got the absolute perfect run out here. I would make it, I think I would make it 1950 to 2000. Now, it's kind of interesting because you can look at this in a little bit of an unexploitable, like kind of an unbalanced way. Like if you were bluffing here, would you sort of blast all in? Because the balance in a true balance sense here, if he's betting 850 and you say were to call, the pot would be 3,000, then you have 2,000 back. In a true balance sense, you probably should be check raising all in with the hands that you want to do for value and as bluffs. I'm giving you a little bit of an unbalanced recommendation where I might even check raise all in as a bluff to get more fold equity and take a hand like this and play like a little small sort of value check raise to 2,000. But I think I go 2,000 here.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I came to after looking at this hand on paper. In the moment, so I think my thinking was skewed because I play usually at the 2-5 level, and at that level, people aren't taking pocket jacks, pocket tens, and pocket queens for value on this river. They're just checking back.
Well, that's exactly what I said, right, in the beginning of the street. But
yeah.
But if you're up against somebody who's capable, who's good enough to take those hands and realize that those hands are probably 3 street value bets, right? It's a great spot. It's interesting that he chooses such a large sizing, though, because if I had queens, jacks, or tens here, like this sizing can't really be correct, I feel like, on this run out. With all his hands, like I think this is a 1/3 sizing from him is what it should be if he wants to be sort of balanced, and because it gives him a cheaper price on his bluff if he's running a 3-barrel, puts you in tough with like 6x types of hands. And if he wants you to call down with like a 6x or pocket sevens, pocket eights, like why go 850? I think this is should be more of a small size for him with his entire range here on the turn if you wanted to keep it a little bit balanced. But 100% agree with you in terms of smaller stakes guys are just going to check back, right?
Yeah. But, so the other thing that threw me off was the big sizing. I think if it were smaller, I would have definitely check raised. But with this sizing, I'm trying to think of what hands take that size. And, it's like, for me, I would think pocket aces or a king that ran into, say, king X of hearts runs into top pair. Might take that size. And then, pocket tens plus. So I just called because there's like 20 combos out there that beat me. And
what are you scared of?
Well, he has all 4-5 suited. He has all sets, sixes, threes, deuces that we block. He has pocket nines. He has 9 king offsuit, 9 king suited.
Isn't he opening from under the gun 1 here?
Yeah, he is. But so he's V-pipping, 40%. So he's opening. I would figure he's opening.
I don't know if he's opening 4-5 suited here. I mean, it's possible. But even if you were to give him all the sets and then you take your combos into play here, even if you were to give him all the sets and like, let's say you gave him all 4-5 suiteds, right? I can guarantee if he's continuing to value bet tens, jacks, queens, ace 9, a king that he ran into, which is offsuit broadways, aces, ace king, there's going to be way more combos of that than way more combos of those hands than some of the thick value. Although, yes, I tend to agree with you. The sizing is a little bit peculiar, but I still probably would go 2,000. All right, so you make the call, and what does he show down?
Yeah, so he has 9-8 offsuit. So he was getting out of line pre-flop.
He has 9-8 offsuit?
Yeah, I was a little shocked to hear that he had a 9. I didn't think that he would take that size on the river with just a 9.
Really, really odd. Yeah, that's a really, really odd hand to take large sizing with, because is he turning his hand into a bluff?
When I called, he said, I have a 9 confidently. So, I think that he made the correct read, that I just have like a lot of 6x, 3x, 2x, and that I would have, put in more aggression early on with sets and straights. So he
I don't know, maybe his like reputation precedes him where people are calling him down with a 6 because he's aggressive posts. But yeah, Texas games are definitely sometimes off the rails. But I would have made this 2,000. But I thought that this was really interesting. Again, at the 127 in the live stream. And again, I think the thing that we can take away from here is that this is definitely a check against a good player at the end when you run into better than one pair that will sort of hit the pre-flop raisers sort of line, although this line's large. better example here too is if he checks back turn, right? Let's say he bet the flop, you call turn, he goes check, check, river's a king. What are you going to do on the river?
Oh yeah, check. I'm checking
Right,
because
right. Of
yeah.
course, you're going to check the river for the same reasons that we talk about here. But thank you very much for the call, Ari. Appreciate it.